Hey, this is Montel Williams, and you're watching Bring the Pain Sports. Whew.
Hey, folks, and welcome back. So we've got the NFL portion of the show out of the way, and it's time to talk about some boxing. So I'm back with Mike Tula, and to my left, joining us on the panel, Texas heavyweight champion emeritus and former Texas cruiserweight champion. Y'all know him, the one and only Ricky Jackson. Pretty Ricky, what they call him. So anytime y'all see the champ, of course, y'all know it's time to talk boxing. So your best friend, Adrian Broner, had a fight this past weekend, right? Mm-hmm. He pulled it out. Talk to me about it.
He did well. Really, with Broner, we talked about it last show. He was kind of on the fringe now of whether he's going to be, B level or potential, box office type fighter. Didn't really show too much of, promise in terms of his boxing. Especially the way he fought against Marcos Maidana, was just able to get overwhelmed. His poor sportsmanship after that. But he got a win this this last fight, and kind of an odd interview at the end there. I wasn't 100% sure what he was trying to accomplish there, but what did you think of his post-fight interview?
Well, I kind of turned the TV off after the fight because the fight was kind of lackluster. In my opinion, Broner Alaverde showed up and did more than anticipated. And that's because Broner didn't throw that many punches in the fight. Broner should have got him out there in 5 or 6 rounds. That would have been an impressive fight for Broner. But it took him the whole distance, 12 rounds. I think he did stop him in the 12th. No, it went the distance. Yeah. But again, it was an unimpressive performance. And from what he's trying to claim has been the next Floyd Mayweather's, what he keeps claiming anyway, I don't see it. Don't see it nowhere near having that ability nor that potential. He leaves the fight is fought outside the ring with him, not inside the ring. And the difference in between him and, as he keeps claiming himself to be the next coming to Floyd Mayweather, is Floyd fought both inside and he put on a great show outside the ring. So the hype followed the performance. And in Broner's case, there's a lot of hype, but there's very little performance.
Right.
So I'm not impressed. I think it was a lackluster performance. And he struggled with the guy that he should have easily handled based on what he how good he think he is.
Right. And really, the funny thing is about Broner, the most memorable moment for him, for me, was his fake proposal to his girlfriend.
Dog, that was cold-blooded.
And him, having someone brush his hair. That's pretty much it. So the showmanship is what I really what pops out to me for Broner. And I just get the impression that he's still, kind of an impressionable guy who is trying. I don't know. It just seems like he's trying hard to promote himself or push a certain image. Especially since when I met him in person, he was very polite, very quiet kind of guy, minding his own business on one side of the hotel lobby when I met him. So I was kind of shocked or taken aback.
Yeah.
But
I remember you mentioning
he has done a great job in promoting himself.
Right.
But again, his performance is not promoting the process. And that's where he's kind of falling by the wayside. He's doing a great job of promotions. I mean, he's doing a fabulous job of that because we're talking about him right now. But again, his performance is not matching the performance outside the ring. And that's what has to catch up. His performance inside the ring has to catch up with the performance. And I will say it is a performance outside the ring. I think he's a pretty nice guy, like you just said. But he's going over and above trying to present a vision of a guy that's, want to be disliked. And that's something that's a tall order. And that's something that you have to be able to back up if you're going to create. So he's creating it, but I'm not sure if he's backed it up yet. Well, I know he hasn't backed it up
Now,
yet.
that's my thing about showmanship. Nobody minds, depending on what side of the fence you're on, Floyd's showmanship because nobody's beat him yet.
Right.
Nobody minded Muhammad Ali's showmanship because he was whooping tail.
Right.
Nobody, let's take it to another sport. Nobody.
Ali was also disliked.
Right. Nobody mind Deion Sanders' showmanship because he's arguably one of the greatest football players ever. But if you a showman and you're getting your behind whooped, that's not a good look, right?
Good analogy.
No. And in Mayweather's case, he doubled down because he almost, he created a hatership. A lot of people wanted to see him lose. And in this day and age, especially
means
with
money.
Twitter, that's probably more valuable than actual loyal fans. So, you know, it's two different ways. But the bottom line, the common denominator is you got to win.
Gotta
and
win.
You have to, you know, people don't like
Perform.
people being successful for one reason or another. And if you double down by having this, you know, kind of villainous personality, you know, it could be very lucrative. But,
Right.
you know, yeah, he's definitely gonna have to win.
Well,
Be more
from what last time I was told, Broner's worth $3 million, Mayweather's worth about $300 million.
$3 million. Broner's only worth $3 million out of all the fights he done had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's only had what
Yeah.
20,
And he's
30,
only
24
been,
fights. So you know he's still a B-level
B-level,
fighter
yeah.
trying to become a A-level fighter, monetary wise.
Right.
So he hasn't. Those two fights would have took him over. He fell by the wayside.
Right. So moving on from Broner, this is not the Adrian Broner show. We just had to touch on it because that was the hot fight. But Lucas Matisse and Postal. So talk to me about that fight.
Postal. Very interesting fight. Obviously, for Lucas Matisse, there was you know, a lot riding on this because they were talking about him being a potential Pacquiao, you know, opponent for his next fight, potentially in May. And with Mayweather out, you know, that's one of the hottest tickets. That with Canelo and Cotto, and you know, after Triple G, you know, after he gets his first pay-per-view, you know, performance will be him as well. But you know, there's a lot on the line for him, and it was a good fight, was an entertaining fight, and you know, Postal just, you know, he hit him with a very good shot, you know, towards the end, and I think, you know, I was reading up on the post interview, you know, with Lucas Matisse, and he said that he couldn't feel, you know, he couldn't feel his eye. He didn't know if something was wrong with it. He didn't know if you know what I mean? He couldn't feel his eye. He didn't know, he couldn't see the damage. He didn't, so that's why he didn't, you know, continue. And I'm just kind of wondering, I was left
Ooh,
a
nice.
bit disappointed because I wanted to see, you know, him progress. You know, he put together a great fight against, you know, Provodnikov, his last fight. Looked really good in that. And, you know, this kind of happens, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, those are my thoughts on it. Postal, got to give him credit. You know, he, sound corny, but, you know, he went Postal on.
Oh, you took my joke. I swear you took my joke, man.
Well, Batiste couldn't feel his eye because Postal kept putting a jab in.
He felt your eye. You ain't feel it, but he
He
felt
did the typical boxer puncher fight. You know, he punched, he held, he turned, he twisted. He kept the guy contained. And Batiste, I think, still was kind of reveling from that. Was it Coastal Life, his last fight?
Right.
Yeah, he was still kind of reeling from that. Maybe jumped in this fight too early. Postal's not a big puncher. He only had 12 knockouts
Right.
and knocked out Batiste. That might be the fight of the year.
Really?
It was that big of an upset because Batiste was supposed to get this win and get ready for the next fight coming. Never really not looking at Postal as a real big challenge because he only had 12 knockouts. But Postal was also part of the top rank, the gym in Vegas where they train like madmen and get ready for fights in a world-class fashion. So it was a big upset, and it might be the upset of the year, and it puts Postal on the map.
And I had a question for you. Postal, Victor Postal, he said he attributes his lack of, accrued knockouts, because he's from the Ukraine, to the gloves that they use in the Ukraine. They're more amateur style. How much stock do you put in that, and how much of a difference do you kind of feel, and the differences in the gloves? How much do you feel like that plays into?
It can have an effect on the fight and an outcome of a decision. But if you can punch, you can punch. The kid can't punch. I don't care what the glove is. He's not a big puncher, but he's a great boxer.
Right.
He's a great fundamentalist. And, he went out there and he stayed behind the jab. He put the combination together and he clinched when he needed to. And Batiste was too busy trying to knock him out. Ended up getting knocked out. Right. So it was a puncher's mistake and a great fight plan by a good boxer. So he boxed, he used good ring generalship, and he kept Batiste at bay with the jab and hitting him with great combinations and hurt him a few times in the fight. And this is a guy that can't punch, but Batiste was just running in, trying to dog his way into the fight and handle this guy. He ended up getting handled himself so much so he got his nose broke and got knocked out.
Now, he's calling out Terrence Crawford.
Right.
Postal is. How you feel about that?
Hey, if he wants to do that, he can. Terrence Crawford's, a fantastic fighter. I think, he is a very smart fighter. He's a great I'm gonna say great boxer, puncher. He's got a lot of power, but he's very skilled as well. What's so funny? Oh, I'm sorry. He's very skilled as well. I don't see him having a shot at all against Crawford if he even gets that fight. I mean,
Yeah. So we want to finish up this segment. We've got about 2 minutes left in this segment with your boy Triple G and Lemieux. It's coming up next week. So we touched on it a little bit last time we talked boxing.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time for you guys to, so where the rubber meets the road, you got to give me your predictions. You got to give me who wins, what round, and by what means.
well, obviously, you're going with Golovkin. I think he's going to knock him out. Lemieux, watch his fights. He likes to get inside, and he's got a lot of power, but I don't think he hasn't fought high-level competition. Especially when you're talking about Triple G. So I think Golovkin's going to knock him out. Probably, probably 5th round.
5 or 6.
Because he's going to force the issue, Lemieux. And he's got a lot of power too. So I think it should be a fun fight while it lasts.
Okay. What you got, champ?
Triple G inside of 10, unless there's an upset. You might see a repeat of this last week fight with the one we just talked about.
Postal fight?
Yeah, we might see another postal situation if the kid changes his game plan. But if he fights the fight he's been fighting, Golovkin will knock him out inside of 10, inside of 8 rounds.
Wow. Okay.
What do you think's the biggest thing that Golovkin has to kind of keep an eye out, kind of be wary of when he's looking at David Lemieux?
Trying to knock him out. That's the thing he has to be cautious about, is trying to knock him out. Go out there, fight your fight, stay behind the game plan, be a boxer, be a puncher second.
Okay.
It's always a safe way to go. Set it up and then make it happen.
And Triple G, by him being such a knockout artist, he tends to go in with knockout on his mind.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Well,
but you leave yourself open
Yeah.
when you do that.
Yeah.
And his chin has not really been tested. He hasn't really taken a good hard shot where you can say, wow, okay, he can take a punch. He hasn't taken one yet.
And you don't want to test that with David Lemieux.
'Cause he can hit.
There's one thing that he can do is hit. But
Yeah.
he showed against Earl Monroe Jr. Triple G that he's patient. He always shows something new every fight.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I've got Triple G in a 5th or 6th round. Since I got to pick one, follow my own rules, I'll say 5. I'll say 5. I'll give him a 5th round knockout.
Triple G can get hurt in this fight.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
He can.
Sure.
But we got to wrap this segment up. So, of course, we thank the champ for joining us as always. And when we get back, we will be talking about some NCAA football. So hang with us. We'll be right back.